Jerusalén, donde he nacido yo. Es un jardín florido de mágico ritmo, un cielo siempre nítido le sirve de dulce y dan arrullos plácidos las olas a sus pies. Cuando a sus playas llegó Colón, exclamó lleno de admiración: oh, oh, esta es la linda tierra que busco yo. Es por que la hija del mar y el sol, 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 del mar y el sol.
That was 2019 La Voz winner, Yerimar Rios, singing the iconic Puerto Rican national anthem, La Boriqueña, on the inaugural Bomba Live episode. Thank you all so much for joining us. In many ways, that really sums up in many ways what 2020 was here for us. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Ray Collazo. I'm the founder and host of the Founding Translation Talk Show, the longest running independent Latino-led news talk variety podcast, now a video digital show, going on our 8th year of broadcasting on both audio and digital platforms, and the founder and host of Bomba Live, the virtual Puerto Rican celebration, which many of our Founding Translation episodes in the second half of the year became crossover editions of our additional brand. Thank you again so much for joining us today, with Jenny Mont kicking us off the only way we know how to do. We are going to celebrate the end of 2020, and what this episode is really going to be is really highlight, despite all the challenges and the sadness of this year, of course, in many ways almost apocalyptic challenges that we had, and it's certainly very historic, celebrate who we are and celebrate the provocative conversations we had, just the talented people and people that wanted to just service the listening and viewing audience, celebrate these many great moments of my co-hosts, my collaborators, our amazing guests, and also the entertainment we got it in this year on many different genres, a lot of great entertainment. And, for those that maybe didn't watch every single minute, even though you should, of either Founding Translation and or Bomba Live, we're going to give you a highlight reel, which is going to make you want to go back and check out these episodes. I mean, this 1 hour plus is not going to do justice to the incredible content that we provided you here throughout the year. Again, thank you so much for joining us. My host, I'm Ray Collazo, and this is the Bomba Live Founding Translation simulcast, really celebrating the end of 2020 and celebrating the year. Of course, had incredible challenges, but some incredible moments here of inspiration and celebration of our community and voices you often don't hear, particularly in the mainstream media. The first segment, first series of highlights we're going to show is really about what was the dominant news issue of the year, which was, of course, which we're still dealing with, the COVID-19 pandemic. We covered it coast to coast, cover to cover here, particularly in the spring and summer, on Founding Translation and Bomba Live, really highlighting what were the health impacts, particularly that were disproportionately impacting minority and Latino communities, the impact on our small business communities, the impact on our family lives, the impact on our spiritual lives, the impact on our children, the impact on our schooling. We had many conversations about that issue, wanting to make sure we do everything we can for our children, which spurred on other topics, which we'll get into later in the show. So despite everything, we want to check out what was, this gives you a sample of the kind of coverage that we had in provocative conversations and inspiration. And even in the case of our wonderful YouTube sensations, Gadiel and Axel, even a little laughter. They came out of this incredible COVID-19 coverage here on Founding Translation and Bomba Live.
What we're going through as a society is a mass trauma. Different states are at a different stage of acceptance around this, right? In New York City, we've gotten hit the hardest, but based on what I've been reading, it's going to get everywhere, right? COVID-19 is going to be everywhere. And so, you know, there's a story we tell ourselves, which is, okay, you know, I am not able to go to work the way I used to. My child is not able to go to school the way they used to. I'm feeling stir crazy, right? And what you need to tell yourself is this is not going to last forever. We will get through this by staying connected with each other. And when I'm struggling with anxiety, reach out for help.
We're all pretty aware of how this is impacting life and across the world. But the most important thing I think I need to let people know, especially now, the holidays are coming. Everybody wants to be with their loved ones, especially after the last 9 months that we've been through. But, you know, being with your loved ones right now, really, like, you have to be responsible. There's a lot of responsibility that comes with you spending time with your family right now. And you have to think about not only the people that you love, but the people that they also love. It's a domino effect. You know, unfortunately, you know, you infect one person, that person could affect 20 people, and 20 people could affect 100 people. And that's how we got where we are right now.
Exactly.
So the message here is very clear. It's get tested often, you know, especially if you're going to be around families. But if you could avoid that, you know, es mejor estar 6 pies separado que 6 pies abajo de la tierra, you know?
Seguro.
You know, this COVID-19 season is nothing like we've ever seen before. Though that is a truth, all of us at some time in our lives have experienced unbelievable tragedy. And sometimes you got to go back in history to find out what it is that you're supposed to do. Real quick story that I think is fitting. I think most of you that know me well know that our oldest, Sochi Rose, who's 13, awesome teenage girl. We do have a teenage girl in the house, has cerebral palsy. And when she was 18 months old, she was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. And I remember that day, hearing the diagnosis, coming into the house, walking up. We had 12 sets of stairs from the garage. And when I got to the top of the 12th stair, my mom was waiting there. And she says, "Papi, what's wrong?" And I collapsed and I fell in her arms. And I cried like I've never cried before. Everything inside of me. And then finally I told her, I said, "Mama, you know, she's been diagnosed with cerebral palsy. We don't sure she's gonna walk again." Later that afternoon, my 18-month-old at the time, I was holding her in my arms and we were rocking back and forth. And she knew I was crying. And at 18 months old, she turned to me over her left shoulder and she looked at me in the eye and she says, "Papi, it'll be okay."
Wow.
Our kids can give us that which sometimes we can't get anywhere else.
Self-care is important, period. Self-care does not mean you're selfish. So putting yourself first, taking care of your needs first is important for you as a human, as a person. It's kind of like that airplane stewardess thing, you know? They tell you when the mask drops, what do? You put on your mask first, and then you help somebody else.
Hola, bienvenido a Puerto Rico.
Welcome to Puerto Rico.
¡Todo Puerto Rico! A comer pasteles, a comer lechón, arroz con cangules y a beber ron. Que venga morcilla, venga de todo. Y que se chave todo.
Turista, bienvenido a Puerto Rico. Tenemos las mejores playas, tenemos buena música y también tenemos buena comida.
Y también tenemos coronavirus.
I tell you, I can't get enough of Gadiel and Axel. Thank you so much for joining us again. My name is Rafael Collazo, and you're watching the 2020 year of celebration here on the Bomba Live Financial Translation simulcast. Despite an incredible the scourge of COVID, we got through it and are thriving going into 2021. And we wish all of your loved ones a healthy and safe 2021 for sure, and hope you get to enjoy the rest of this housing season. It's not even Three Kings Day yet, y'all. We got plenty of time to have a good time and celebrate the new year, or as my grandmother would say, the New Year's. Going into 2020, we thought the biggest issue was going to be that we were going to cover here on Found Translation Bomba Live was going to be the 2020 elections, which of course started off in the primary season, the first quarter of the year, which, sort of in a truncate, which we covered extensively in 2019 with debates, and in the field was like 25 Democratic candidates. And as it whittled down going into the primary states, the Iowas and New Hampshires and the Nevadas, we had you covered cover to cover. And really, as we predicted that would happen in 2019, what played out in 2020 was this very interesting battle that was going on basically between Democratic moderates and Democratic progressives for the soul of the party, control of the party, and which ultimately led to the consensus candidate of the moderate wing or the mainstream wing of the party being vice president, now President-elect Joe Biden being victorious. That process, though, if y'all remember, was very precarious, and week to week, day to day, with debates and post caucus results and all these amazing communities. I personally went to Las Vegas to cover the Nevada caucus. We had some very provocative conversations about what the Democratic primary went for the Latino community. Even some discussion, kind of Bomba Live flavor about what it meant to the Puerto Rican vote in communities like Florida and Pennsylvania, which came into play quite a bit during the general election. So let's check out some of our 2020 Democratic primary coverage.
It was critical that Vice President Biden not only win South Carolina, but get a big victory, put a big number on the board to look viable, and not only just win a race and look like he can win something, but also to really show that he is sort of the singular figure left in his primary that has the support in Black community. And I think he did even better than he expected. It's clear that, at least in South Carolina, the Black electorate did just not see a viable alternative. Whether that's a viable alternative that they had a connection with, generally liked, or they saw a viable alternative that could potentially be Trump in November. Because it's pretty clear from the Black electorate throughout the country, and South Carolina is no different, than electability and someone that can defeat this menace to our country, and particularly to people of color, is the number one priority for the Black community.
In terms of this moderate wing, is this moderate wing just afraid, or are they tone deaf? Right. I mean, I think that's the real question that I'm curious. Right. I'm really curious about, because at some point, I think part of the issue is that aside from, look, a lot of the debate around Medicare for all and healthcare is really kind of a wonky kind of like execution strategy. Right. I mean, no one's really necessarily arguing that, healthcare shouldn't be a right, but the real question is at what cost, right? And what does that mean? But I want to hear beyond that. I want to see what a government that actually is dedicated or centered around working class folks and communities of color. What does that mean?
Of Democratic and party politics in this country. So those seem to be the two passions, but what's missing in the passion there is Vice President Biden.
I mean, both Michelle and I are daughters of this state. We're fourth generation Texans. Our people have been here for a very long time, have been on the margins for a very long time, right? A lot of times we like to think about, or it might be helpful to think about what we, like the politics of the state as, what happens at the state level is really like apartheid politics, right? You have a minority that's like reigning over the state that's not reflective of what's going on in our cities and our counties.
Joe Biden has been fighting for our community for decades. He's been in the trenches. He authored the Violence Against Women Act, which for me is super important, and for women in Texas is especially important, especially as we're in this Me Too movement. He's also made lots of commitments. He has stood up to the NRA in terms of right here in Texas. We know that we've had multiple mass shootings in the last few years alone, and we have a governor who refuses to call a special session. He's beat the NRA twice. He has a plan for climate change.
As progressives, and it's something that I've always tried to model and espouse myself, is leading with unity and leading with that spirit of, we all have very deep-rooted sentiments about certain things and our own candidates, but we have to know that everything that we do, whether we're on this team or that team or whatever, we're all in this together. And
he really can't expect to be able to ride, Obama's coattail so easily with the Latino community, right? The Latino community doesn't forget that under the Obama administration, there were more deportations than any other modern Day administration. So,
and the Promesa board occurred under the Obama.
And the Promesa board, right?
La economía de Puerto Rico.
Exactly. And so we need to, I believe that we need to support Biden as a community.
Absolutely. But he needs to earn it.
No question.
After the Democratic primary was decided March 2nd, we needed to take a break from the politics a little something. I mean, it never goes away. But we had to do a little something. And quickly it became apparent that our 7-year anniversary of Founding Translation Talk Show was coming up in April. And I wanted to do something very special for you all. What came out of that, again, incredible event. If you didn't see it, check out the archives in April of our 2-hour-plus mega show, which featured celebrities like Frank Negron and many other incredible dignitaries, was really a celebration of my collaborators. What we did on the show was bring on some of my co-hosts, the Christina Vegas, the Sulai Picarellis, the Deli Reyes, the Vanessa Maria Graber, so many, Zoe Colon, so many amazing women and men that helped me host this show and bring you their perspective on a variety of topics and have some fun with us here at Founding Translation and Bomba Live. The show was an honor to them. So I would bring them on, and then we would bring on a musical guest or an entertainer that would do a poem, a song, play an instrument on our behalf. And that really, the format of that show sort of led to, on some level, Bomba Live and really sort of changing the trajectory of our content forever. So in the midst of that show, it even led to someone a great debate that you'll see in the highlights of people debating who is my true broadcast alter ego. Enjoy highlights of the 2nd anniversary of Founding Translation.
Stop it!
Like, honestly, I was just thinking here that Rapa de Colazo is officially like the Puerto Rican Simon Cowell, because all we got is just talent up in these streets.
Banger after banger after banger after
Right?
banger.
I'm like, yes! Wepa!
That was beautiful, Coder.
Thank you. And I feel like you're the Don Francisco of radio, like Sábado Gigante with all the.
He's a little creepy, but we'll find a better analogy.
The good, happy.
Yes.
The talented part. Yeah. But
My strength, my God, my life, you're all I need to get me through the darkest night. My peace, cause I know you'll never leave my side. Nothing left to lose. Oh, I just feel like there's no close. I'm sure it's all over now. Until I think of you.
Coño, yo tengo que hacer compra. Tú te tienes que hacer compra, pero vete de esta línea ya, porque yo no tengo tiempo para esto. No me pongo en fuego now.
So I was like, oh, damn. And then, of course, I got another lady behind him grabbing words like, oh, no, girl, you got to hurry up and get out of this line. And so I'm here. Now I'm panicking internally and externally, worried. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how else to prove that, yes, Pakistanis and Mexicans do mix. That's what happened with my parents. I don't know what in the world to do. And then I was like, I collected myself. I took a breath. And I was like, you know what? Con permiso, necesito espacio. मेरे नाम सोफिया मोहम्मद खान. आपका नाम क्या है? तुम बंदर का बच्चा. हाँ.
She be like Scarface and Manolo Minaj, damn near the Coco cigar, flame for the child with a mind frame as I'm solo in God's name. If you test me to saw blade, then it's over. Crawl back through the trenches through all flames in a choker. Parlay that I make at the guard table is fun in block parties. Top 40s play dog days of the summer, lock jaws, pop frauds. I call rape in a tundra, cold-hearted, bow-guarded, your broad taking the under.
This is for the poets and their impossibly blank pages, for the potential of youth and verse to turn rage to hope. But mostly this is for those that say no. Not today. Not on my watch. We're going to find a way to get through this, to support each other, to turn right to wrong, to turn wrong to right. So this is my Me Too Spotlight, a ray of hope, a half full glass, the voice of mi abuelo whispering in my ear, esto también pasará. This too shall pass.
Call me friend, but keep me closer. And I'll call you when the party's over. Quiet when I'm coming home, and I'm on my own. I could lie, say I like it like that, like it like that. I could lie, say I like it like that, like it like that. But nothing is better sometimes. Once we both said our goodbyes.
As the spring evolved, we quickly realized that we wanted to take a deeper dive into an issue that had become apparent that was going to be an acute issue as it relates to the COVID-19 pandemic relating to our youth. And that was the issue of, which is a dominant issue in our community, especially with our parents and our young people and our children, which is the issue of autism. And so we dedicated a series of segments throughout our show, throughout the year, to tackle the issue of autism, which oftentimes is not talked about enough on these kind of platforms, particularly as it impacts minority and Latino communities. So we had incredible sort of parent advocates, Teresa Charand, Marianela Agosto, and Miguel and Ileana from Toy Quest 101, some incredible people who are taking this conversation to an incredible level on YouTube in an entertaining format, discussing and reviewing toys on YouTube on a worldwide recognition level. So we had some incredible, important conversations that we want to show you some highlights on about autism. We're going to continue to highlight the issues of children on our spectrum, because one of the dominant messages and themes we want to get out of this year is that our children, regardless of where they are on the spectrum, can achieve amazing things. The other issue that came about, sort of another moment that came out during our special Mother's Day episode, was really an issue with my dear Rodriguez family, a moment discussing their incredible mother who unfortunately passed away due to the COVID-19 scourge. That really encapsulated for me how our feelings as it relates to the people that we lost to the COVID-19 this year, and the incredible legacies that they left for us that we need to continue.
And I think the best thing you can do for a parent is either, like, if you can't help and you're not willing, just stay shut, keep walking, or reach out and say, how can I help you? And I think that gets people, that will get you a long way. And you will also not only help someone, but also learn a little bit about, what's going on and how you could actually maybe help someone else. And the reason why I say, how can I help you, is because even though I have a kid with autism, my kid is just my kid, and he's unique to me, and he's unique to the spectrum. The way I handle my son, it's definitely not the way that another parent will handle their kids.
One of the things that we were challenged with is we had a principal, as nice as he was more concerned about his test scores and was making recommendations that we put one of our twins into
you see the Puerto Ricans are nodding their heads because we've gone through this. Because the dirty little secret, look, my son's ADD, but the dirty little secret about schools and school systems is that, well, that piece, right? Testing, but it's all about you, while you're legally, and you brought this up on your Facebook with Marianela about the IEPs, right? Legally, they have the resources to do the support for your children, but it's a budgetary question, because if they utilize those resources for your kid, that's less money they got for other things. So you constantly, even in the best case scenario, you have to advocate for your kids.
You do. You absolutely do. And I think with my daughter, Lucia, she's the best I can describe her is, even without her diagnosis, she's a very shy person. She is. And so it's even more amplified. And I think if you don't have someone that's engaging and really reaching out to your child, they can just kind of like fade into the background. And we were just not going to allow that to happen.
My biggest advice for all parents, because we do get a lot of parents worldwide that, connect with us via social media, asking questions. They're struggling through some of the same things. But my biggest thing for anyone out there who has a loved one that has autism, or any child or anybody in their family with special needs, is find what they can connect to. So what I mean by that is there's a lot of kids out there that have autism that might not know how to write or not even talk, but they could play an instrument like they're in an orchestra, right? So find that thing that they really like and just go with it. Support them as much as they can. And, you know, the biggest thing with our show is that we want to inspire these kids to accomplish their dreams and not let their autism or their special, you know, needs be a roadblock to accomplishing those dreams.
Growing up, you're always like, I'm never going to be like my mom. She was mean and she was this. And you kind of take a step back when you are in that position of raising children and say, yeah, now I see why she did that, you know. And although we are in different positions than she is and she was, it's still a lot of her teachings and a lot of the honesty is needed in terms of, now she was a little over the top on the honesty. I agree with you on that. But, but, you know, just being honest with your kids as to, you know, what's expected of them, you know, what are the challenges they're going to face in life, and that they have to work twice as hard sometimes as other people because they don't look like them. And so, you know.
But you know what? I gotta say something about that frankness and that honesty, especially in the environment that we find ourselves in today. She didn't find room for the BS, right? So that, to me, just because it may have been her upbringing, it may have been how her life went, but she found time to be valuable, and she did not want to waste that time on things that were unnecessary. That's right. And she was always present, and she was always in the moment, and she was always there with you. And you were there with her, whether you wanted to be or not.
As June approached, it became very clear to our community here that we were going to be missing out from a Puerto Rican perspective on a whole lot. You know, the New York Puerto Rican Parade was not going to take place for the first time, 60 plus years. We were missing the opportunity to have so many of our wonderful fiestas patronales in Puerto Rico. Chicago Puerto Rican Parade got canceled. The Orlando Festival got canceled. Things were not looking very festive. And we had this idea here. So, you know what? Let's take this opportunity, this moment in time, maybe this singular moment in time, when we cannot physically meet together in any real way, the way we know how to do, right? And let's do a virtual Puerto Rican celebration, not just like shaking our booties and waving flags, which, you know, nothing wrong with that, but really honors the talent, character, and perseverance of the Puerto Rican community, not just in the arts, which of course we're known for, the sciences, politics, community service, education, business. We wanted to show the whole Acapulco, the whole Asobao. So Bomba Live was born. The virtual Puerto Rican celebration took place in June. It was a 10.5-hour spectacular. Y'all need to go up on YouTube. Each 2-hour segment is just incredible. Ended with an after party, was incredible. DJs tocando salsa, freestyle, hip hop, reggaeton, música urbana, all the stuff that we get it in on. And it really featured everything about who we were. It really encapsulated that 10.5 hours, you know, from, again, great leaders in all fields coming together, and not just coming together to celebrate being Boricua. From the island, we had over a dozen guests on that show directamente de Puerto Rico. Podía escuchar los coquis, fam. You got to watch the show. The show was unbelievable. It was an opus. But we highlighted in that show in particular and honored racial justice. You know, the Black Lives Matter movement became another seminal focal point of our politics and our culture in the United States and really throughout the world. And Bomba Live took the opportunity to create that theme to call on Puerto Ricans and Latinos not only to stand with their African-American brothers and sisters around racial justice, but really confront racism and anti-Blackness directly in the Puerto Rican Latino community. We were proud to collaborate with Colectivo ILE, which is a racial justice organization in Puerto Rico, and had some incredible moments of laughter, provocative conversation, moments rubbing elbows with icons. Bernie Williams was on the show, Frankie Negron, Eddie Palmieri, The list goes on and on. Bomba Live, fam. The virtual Puerto Rican celebration was born in 2020. Let's enjoy just a few of the incredible moments of that historic show in June.
Yes, it says, hace algún tiempo le preguntaba a un chiquillo por el significado de la palabra patria. Y como aquel viejo poema le di así: flor de barrio, hermanito, patria, son tantas cosas bellas como aquel viejo árbol. Y con el alma en la garganta le dije así: no memorices lesiones de dictaduras y encierros. La patria no la define esos que suprimen un pueblo. Ay, la patria es un sentimiento en el alma del viejo. Patria, son tantas cosas bellas.
Mira, I had the honor of meeting Bernie at the barbershop. We share the same barber in New York. And my barber was like, yeah, man, I know Bernie, Bernie comes by here all the time. I'm like, Bernie Williams does not come by. You crazy, man. That's Bernie Williams, man. That's 51, dog. You know Bernie Williams? I said, Bernie Williams, pasa por aquí todo rato. Bernie pasa. Wasn't Bernie here a couple of weeks ago? Yeah, man, Bernie was here. I said, you got to stop lying, man. My Bernie Williams is not going to come by this little barbershop, please. And I swear to you, in through the door comes Bernie Williams. and normally I'm picky about the cut. I'm like, get off. That's Bernie Williams. Pero he was so, like, normal, chill. Hey, how are you, man? Hey, you busy? I'm like, Papa, I'll get off the chair right now. You can have it.
You want to, express my gratitude to the Clemente Family Foundation, Bomba Live, for giving me this honor, for mentioning me. I want to say to my fellow Puerto Ricans, man, we're going through some tough times, but we are resilient people. It seems like we can't catch a break, but, too much is given, much is expected to. We have been given a lot of resiliency, a lot of character, in our country. Nosotros puertorriqueños estamos en todos lados, y en todos lados, everywhere we flourish. And we, make sure that everybody knows who we are. So, we stay together, stay strong, and we're going to get through this like we have gotten through everything else in our history. And it's going to make us stronger and better for the future. So, yo estoy con ustedes, lo llevo en mi corazón, and bless you all, man. Thank you so much for this great honor.
This to me, Boricuas, for the most part, they're very supportive of their music artists, and I think that that's one of the things that I love, and I think that that's what brings us together. Music is such an integral part of Boricua, and I love the fact that we're so united, we're so resilient, and we support our own people no matter what. So I think in this uncertain time, because of currently what's going on with the current situation and all that stuff, I think we just have to continue to support our own people, because if we don't support our own people, who will,
Chef Greg, I got a few questions for you, okay? I've been dying to ask a Puerto Rican chef que wears a Puerto Rican hat, got cuatros in the background, got a flag. Olvídate, you represent. Okay. Okay, here we go. Ready? Pastelillo de guayaba, ¿con queso o sin queso?
Sin queso.
Thank you. Oh, my God. Where the church?
Sin queso.
When they put queso in that, yo me pongo tan malo. I don't why are you putting queso, man? I said guayaba. I don't need queso. You know what? Use that space and put more guayaba. Okay.
That's it.
Pasteles. ¿Con ketchup o sin ketchup?
Con ketchup.
This is my man, yo.
We love you.
I'm booking you. Pa.
There you go, you know. I'm telling you.
Last question. This is not the hard. Arroz con gandules. How much gandules do you put in the arroz? What's the proportion?
You want to make sure you see gandules in your arroz. You know, so you want, every time you grab a fork, you want to have 4 or 5 gandules on that fork.
4 or 5 y cuidado. I mean, let's.
Y cuidado. That's being a little bit, you know, that's what I'm saying.
The thing is that freestyle was everything to me. My cousin Guido, who still lives in the Bronx, was the first one to introduce me and sneak me into the Copacabana. So it's kind of
kidding.
So yeah, I mean,
is that queso?
So
Rosa, it was the 80s.
Tell us about the Copa in the 80s.
No, actually, all I remember was dancing and always getting in trouble for breaking curfew. You know, it's just what it is.
I can't explain what I'm going through. Wish I could find the right words to say. Losing control and it's over you. Nobody else can make me feel this way. Could it just be that I'm curious and I want to make you play my game? But something tells me that it's serious because I go insane when I hear your name. I'm hooked on you, yeah. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm hooked on you, yeah. What can I do? It's over you.
¡Woo! ¡Woo! Cultura activa, PR.
Racism and police brutality is a fact. We saw it in the murder of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Sean Monterosa, and the sad reality is that I could name names all night. As Boricuas, we stand with the Black Lives Matter movement, and to know our heritage is to know that we come from African descent. We as a people, united together, cannot stay silent on these issues that are killing us literally. Black and brown communities need every voice to be amplified right now for true change and true justice. Yes, we have seen some arrests so far in a few of these cases, but we need to aim for convictions. I urge you to use whatever platform you have, speak boldly, and keep donating to organizations fighting for our rights every day. There's a lot more work to be done, but we can do it.
I'm saying that they don't matter. I'm saying you need to say Black Lives Matter.
That's right.
Say it. Y el policía bueno, I guarantee you, if he's a good cop, he'll say it. The bad cop won't say it. You see, it's almost like a litmus test. It's like a litmus test. It's a perfect litmus test for racism. because we're no longer hiding. It's all exposed. Okay? And the guy in the White House made it easy for everybody to see everyone's true colors. So stop hiding behind good cops. Stop hiding behind blue lives. Stop hiding behind all lives matter. Just say Black lives matter. And we can engage in whatever conversation you want to have. But we're not going to talk unless you say those 3 words.
Hablando de eso mismo, de Puerto Rico, dicen por ahí que como los puertorriqueños somos de todos colores, que el racismo no existe entre nosotros. Mariluz, ¿es esa la realidad?
Sin embargo, a la hora de la verdad, todavía los refranes como hay que mejorar la raza, ¿verdad? El tema del pelo malo, que uno dice, ¿qué ha hecho mi pelo para llamarse pelo malo? ¿Verdad? Todavía está ahí en nuestra fibra institucional, en nuestras familias. Cuando hablamos de racismo sistémico, estamos hablando de un racismo que hemos heredado a raíz de un sistema de esclavización, donde se nos quiso poner en un lugar inferior. Y aunque se abolió la esclavitud, todavía seguimos con la agenda de abolir el racismo lingüístico, pero más allá del lenguaje, es cómo se da en nuestras relaciones. La agenda del colectivo ILE ha sido por más de 2 décadas de trabajar a nivel comunitario, a nivel, ¿verdad?, académico, y de formar alianzas con diferentes organizaciones en Puerto Rico. Es importante aprovechar esta coyuntura, este momento histórico en Estados Unidos, y que como colonia en Puerto Rico, ¿verdad?, nos abre la puerta nuevamente para hablar del tema de racismo. Sin embargo, además de hablar del tema del racismo en Estados Unidos, es importante mirar a nuestro país, mirar cómo tenemos esa herencia, esa mala herencia que Lidia Milagros González llama la mala herencia del racismo.
Fuego, fuego, Minneapolis. Fuego, fuego, Minnesota. Ay, fuego, fuego, Minneapolis. Fuego, fuego, Minneapolis. Fuego, que fuego. Si no pone la gente se va a quemar. Si no pone la gente se va a quemar. Fuego, fuego, Minnesota. Fuego, fuego, Minneapolis. Fuego, fuego para Jorge. Fuego, fuego para los nombres que hayan matado la policía. Que se largan ya, que yo no quiero sufrir. Mi gente negra no quieren más, no quieren no sufrir. Que todos tenemos que vivir con unidad y no van a sufrir. Ay, cómo duele, 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 cómo duele. Mataron a George como Milando, como Brianna, cómo duele. Mataron a George como Milanda, como llamar, cómo duele, cómo duele. Bomba, George.
Post Bomba Live, as our festive summer continued, it became clear that Found in Translation and the Bomba Live crossover episodes were really becoming a home where people wanted to have these conversations, what was going on in the street, what people were talking about, the latest Netflix show, the passing of an incredible icon, just big news that was going on with celebrities and entertainers and thought leaders in our community. So whether it was conversations about what the legendary Walter Mercado meant to our community, an interview with a hot reggaetonero like Rafa Babon, or just like conversation about what was going on in the street with IG celebrities, memes, conversation, hot news, chisme that was going on. People were talking about it on Bomba Live.
Lima, was it worth the wait? Talk to us about your emotions. Come on.
Zelina was probably like, shh, everybody be quiet, I gotta watch this.
Right. Like those was on for just a few minutes, and the house went still. I was really emotional watching it yesterday, and because like Rafael said, he's ours, right? He's ours, and I really took an ancestral journey, right, with it. And I relived so many years of my life. I will say this, and como boricua voy a hablar, si él dijo que te pusiera unos panties verdes, te los ponía y tú no preguntabas. There was nothing that man could tell us to do that we did not do.
And Zulema, so let's get into that. Why was that? What about his being so different in every way and distinct in every way?
Yeah, well, it wasn't. I don't think it was a choice. It's like using sofrito. Like it's in your blood. It's in your blood as a Puerto Rican, and my grandmother, my great grandmother. This was passed down generationally. It wasn't like I discovered him. It's what I knew. I never questioned it.
Yeah,
it's just part of the fiber of who I am, who I was brought up as.
Maida, the passion was deep.
The passion was definitely deep. Listen, he was an icon to all of us, and we listened to him on a daily, intensely, and listening to his message, and he brought a lot of hope. And it's like you mentioned earlier, if he told you to wear your panties backwards or inside out, you did it.
Because that was going to bring good luck.
Yes.
That's what Capricorns need to do today.
Yeah. And it's interesting that, as I was watching it with my daughter last night, and, my daughter is 31 years old. She remembers Walter Mercado. He was a household name, And, we were watching it, and there were times I was crying. I was just happy, and I cried, and I was so, it was a beautiful thing to learn a lot more about him. Yeah. And I also, as we were growing up, I know that in the show last night, they talked a lot about his sexuality, but I remember not thinking about that in the past when I was watching him.
I felt the same
way. I didn't care about
that. To me,
that.
It was one of the least interesting parts of it. Not to say it wasn't interesting, but people stressed about that so much, but he was so beyond that.
It did not matter.
He transcended those divides. He transcended generational divides. He transcended gender.
Religious.
Yep. And he was intersectional before a time that we spoke about intersectionality.
Yes.
He was that.
This is my Angela. This is the question I wanted to ask you all day. Because one of the things that struck me watching it was, of course, Puerto Ricans like to think of Walter as kind of the epitome of Puerto Ricans, right? The dramatic, the style. Much of this was really Walter influencing Puerto Ricans, and how much of it was him being our vessel to the world.
I'm going to say that there was an element of his openness to other religions that as a child watching, because at that point it was an hour show. When I was growing up, it was Las Estrellas y Usted. He would perform and all of this. But the fact that he began, they were the first time that I got exposed to what being Budista era, or otros elementos de otras religiones. And I understand absolutamente. Yo siempre relajaba a mi mamá, le decía, esto es un remix. Mamá decía, no, santería, pero le tenía un vasito de agua, le tenía fruta. And I was like, okay.
The contradiction of being Puerto Rican.
Absolutamente. Pero la apertura de él, también our resilience, the capacity that we had internally to navigate stuff, the fact that things could get a little funky, but you will always get on the other side. To this day, ese horóscopo, and I'm really sorry, this is going to sound really cruel, but when he passed, I was like, this will be the following year will be the first year that I will not have the predictions. Like I felt completely out of place. I
always want to do something that represents. Hands down, always, with everything I do, honestly. With the reggaeton, I was really afraid when I did this one, because the Latino community, you get it right. You get it right or you don't do it at all.
Yeah.
I was like, That was the second time I did it. The first time I was like, this isn't enough songs. There's more. This isn't enough songs. So I went in my car and I started driving around, and I just went down the list of just everything I can possibly remember. Evie Queen, DY, all the artists that I can remember back in my days in New York and the house parties and cutting school.
Fanático de la música en general, del merengue, de la bachata, de la salsa.
Excelente.
Y mano, y Agüero fue un merengue que salió en la cuarentena aburrido, experimentando, escuchando cosas diferentes. Pues, mano, me vino a la mente hacer un merengue y pues había un vacío, o sea, hace tiempo yo no escucho un merengue.
Much to me. I was 9 years old when Selena passed away, around 9 years old. And she was just amazing. Like, I got to see her on TV when she was still alive, and she was absolutely amazing. Like, you almost felt like she was in person when you would see her on TV, and she just seemed like she was bigger than life, and she was always so humble and so amazing. So it's not like, oh, now that she passed away, now everybody loves her. No, she was super loved when she was alive. She was amazing. She was a great role model. She was bilingual. I love that she embraced both parts of her culture, the American side and the Hispanic side, the Mexican side.
So Bad Bunny is not just like the best in the game, but he's changing the game. Because what I think, to your point, Tanya, what this album is doing, his new music is doing, is maturing his audience. And where he's pushing us to go along on his personal journey and his artistic journey. So y'all need to catch up. And I think
as the leaves started to fall, kids going back to school, or at least on their laptops, not going back to school. You know what I mean? Got a little chillier. We had to turn our sights to what else? The 2020 elections. The crossroads of our democracy. A litmus test to where the strength of not only our democracy, but of, the Latino community and Latino voting power would be. And really sort of, in some ways, sort of an indictment on our society. A true crossroads historical moment, certainly the biggest election, federal election of our lifetime, no question about it. And we were here to cover it coast to coast. We were having conversations, not just my analysis, significant. My analysis of what was going on with these elections and how we need to help our community empower themselves to make decisions that would positively impact their lives. And basically the mechanics of voting. We were talking to the activists that were really making it happen in several of the critical swing states that became all you talked about for 2 months. Arizona, Florida, Pennsylvania. And we were talking to those activists down the stretch as they were doing the good work and really had our ears to the street as the way it was going on in this election. Ultimately, it came down to how we predicted. And we even had some conversations about what this means. What does it mean that a horrific leader, clearly the worst president in the modern era, horrible human being, horrible manager, white supremacist, pure racist, evil jerk-off, could get over 70 million votes in our society, several of which, more than a few, came from our community. Let's keep it real. And how do we move forward as a society when, at best, our politics are going to remain to be very polarized? So 2020 elections was always top of mind, and in the fall, Found Translation Mobile Live delivered for you.
In our brown communities, and our vote matters. In fact, this is the biggest election of our lifetime, bar none. I know that's said every year, Ralph, but this year is different.
It's not just about the direction of our country. It's about whether we are going to have a democracy or we are leading to an authoritarian state. We're here. And I get these texts from friends, family, a lot of, DMs. Hey, Ray, what's going to happen? Are the polls right? Are they going to steal this? Are we really going to win? I'm so scared. And let me tell you something. I think the polling that we're seeing, and of course, nobody believes that's 100% accurate. But the fact that we're in this position electorally, I think we should all understand that didn't just happen because Trump's a bad person or Biden's a fantastic candidate. It happened because not only the work that's happened this year to engage communities like Vanessa does, that oftentimes don't get the preferred candidate they want in these cycles, or rarely do, frankly. but they persist to come on to continue to build the movement. But this is also, and I'm thinking about places like Arizona and even in Florida, we're talking about decades plus activism that's led us to this moment where we can feel like we have a very strong opportunity to win this election. And, can it be stolen? Can this guy pull a Putin? Can Bill Barr? Yeah, all those things are possible. And we have to be prepared for all those contingencies. And I know Vanessa's thinking about all those contingencies and is a great thinker about those kind of community outreach strategies. But at the end of the day, I want people to understand, I don't want people in the next 2.5 weeks of their life living in fear. I want you to live in empowerment, because think about what we've done to get us to this point where this is possible. In the beginning of this calendar year, let's be honest about it. Most people didn't think he wasn't going to get reelected. And that's what all my friends told me. And look, we're on the precipice of the light that we've been searching for, a great relief of stress, not the panacea, not an ideal situation, but something, a political environment and a democracy we can continue to fight for. So Vanessa, I want to go to you because your thoughts just sort of generally about the race at this point in race is, because the Senate's also a major part of this. But I just want to get your perspective, because with Philly Boricuas and your activism, you're talking to not only Latinos, but people that are traditionally very disenfranchised from the process about the importance of registering to vote. And in Pennsylvania, you still have a few days to do that. It's very important. Registering to vote and sort of maneuvering these voting options, whether it's vote by mail, election day, that sort of hybrid piece with the voting centers. So just wanted to get your thoughts about the race and also your reflections. You're on the street, girl. You're talking to people on the street, in the hood, and you're having these real conversations that most of us, frankly, don't have the courage to have. And you're hearing a lot of good feedback. So tell us what you're hearing in our community about this race at this point.
So the first thing that I want to say is don't just vote, right? Like our get out the vote that we're doing now is one of many tactics that we use to make change. So I'm not in the camp that we're just telling people to vote and that's it. This is part of a wider strategy to engage the community, listen to them, find out what their needs and their issues are, what they're concerned about, what their biggest questions are, and then try to formulate a bigger strategy on how to address those concerns, advocate on their behalf, and involve them in the process of building a movement and making change. So voting is just one element to that. The reality is that people need to get educated. They need to learn certain things. Learning is lifelong, we believe. We're always learning, we're always reading and trying to understand what's going on in our world. The second thing is people need to get active in their communities, right? Like we can't just go to the ballot box and that's it. Like people need to, talk more with their neighbors. They need to volunteer. People need to make personal sacrifices if they wish to see reform and change. And then the last part is like the advocacy and mobilization and organizing element to it, right? Like what we're trying to do is build a base of people that want to fight back. And the truth is that I am scared. I really am. I have fear, just like everybody else. But I use that fear to fuel my activism, right? Like that is the gasoline that makes me go out and do this work.
And of course, we get past the elections. The holidays are coming. We have to have our incredible Parranda episode. Wow, we just had this episode. Unbelievable. If you didn't watch it, what's wrong with you? Go back. You got time. You ain't doing nothing next 3-4 days anyway. You don't go back to work till Monday. Check our virtual Parranda episode. That was very special. Not only because it was incredible music directamente from Puerto Rico. We had incredible guests. We made coquito. We had laughs. We empowered our young people. But it was a special collaboration, not just between Bomba Live and Found Translation, but the producer, my co-producer of Bomba Live, and the host of our own Love Shouldn't Hurt talk show, Christina Vega. It was an incredible sort of mega collaboration between the three brands, which made it just even extra special. We kept it real. We kept it Boricua. We kept it funky. And we kept it in the true Christmas spirit.
¡Woo! Tengo tanto sentimiento viéndole a usted y oyendo la música. I'm telling you, it's so touching for me. I feel so amazing because let me tell you, it's a difficult time, I'm sure, as for many people who have lost a loved one during the holidays. So you guys are touching all of our hearts. Thank you so much Vamos a tocar la puerta a la próxima persona. Let's ring the doorbell at our home and let's bring in Tiffany Sierra with Tiffany Sierra. Cocina de Tiffany Sierra.
Hey.
Hello, Tiffany.
Hey.
Hi. You're going to make some coquitos for us.
I
huh?
am. I've got the rum. I got the good stuff. I'm ready to party. Let's keep this party started.
You said rum. That's all we
Yeah,
need.
no. Every paranda, you need the coquito. So,
That's
all
right.
right. So we're going to start with coconut cream. And I'm just jumping right in, guys. We're just because
Yeah, you know how it is.
we need the rum. We need the rum. We need the rum.
I jumped all in 45 minutes.
I know. So I'm gonna start with the coconut cream, right? There's only a bunch of there's only like 4 cans that you really need, but back in the day we used to have to grate our own coconut and squeeze our own milk. We don't have to do that anymore. We can just go to the store. So I put coconut cream in. Most people use Coco Lopez. That's really the best one to use. I didn't do that, but for sake of time, I had to get the other one. And then I'm putting in sweetened condensed milk. And then we're going to put some evaporated milk. And then some coconut milk, They can't make it so much easier. I'm going to put about 1/4 of nutmeg, a teaspoon of vanilla. Ooh.
All right.
And then some cinnamon. And that's really to the taste of what you want. That's the best thing about coquito is like, it's your own recipe. It's your own love.
That's right.
Every tío has their own way of making it. Every person's house is different. So I usually like to add, it's called coquito tea. So I brewed coconut. I mean, not coconut. I put coconut in it too. Coconut, cinnamon sticks, nutmeg. Some people put ginger. I don't put ginger. It adds too much of a spice. And I'm going to just do that. But the most important part is the rum. So I already poured it out. This is about a cup and a half. If you put more than that, it's just super strong and that gives you that nice heat that some people are looking for.
Then you're gonna fall asleep.
Yep, you're gonna fall asleep with a
Yeah, it's a delicate balance.
I am going to blend away. Hold on, here we go. You hear that magic?
Oh man! If only virtually we could put it through the screen.
Oh, I know, right?
I'm picking up my 2 bottles tomorrow. I already got my appointment.
Oh my God! Look,
I'll be ready for
Christmas
Christmas
magic.
Eve.
I already have a cup. It's already beautiful. I'm ready to
That is
go.
awesome. Well, let's raise our glasses for
Yes.
not only a great
Salud.
caterer and businesswoman, but a prima, one of my young primas. So,
Yeah,
saludos.
thank you, Ray.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having me. It was fun. If
Fantastic.
you guys have any more questions or want any more coquito, just go to my Instagram page at cocina_Sierra, and I will answer any holiday questions. I got pasteles. I got all the good stuff. So, salud. Thank you.
What's that deal? What's that
That's
deal?
on the big
Everyone
up.
follow her.
So stay, don't go anywhere, Tiffany. We're
Oh,
gonna have you back on before the show's over. But
All
in
right.
your honor, and for all the coquito makers out there, we got some. Christina, we don't between in-laws, parents, abuelas, neighbors. We have so many people that know how to make coquito.
That's right.
We have a very special song, one of my favorite songs that Fabiola and Jose Luis have done. They have a wonderful video for this song. So, Fabiola, por favor, su canción, Dame un Coquito.
Dame coquito.
Traigo esta parranda como un regalito. Lo único que quiero, que me den coquito. Lo único que quiero, que me den coquito. Saque ese coquito, que esté en la nevera. Écheme un galón para la noche entera. Écheme un galón para la noche entera. Traigo esta parranda con un regalito. Lo único que quiero, que me den coquito. Lo único que quiero, que me den coquito. Por la madrugada, para el apetito. No quiero sopón, quiero más coquito. No quiero sopón, quiero más coquito. Traigo esta parranda con un regalito. Lo único que quiero, que me den coquito. Lo único que quiero, que me den coquito.
I want to thank y'all so much for watching the 2020 celebration of Found Translation and, of course, the Found Translation Boba Life crossover episodes. We'll see what 2021 brings. I want to thank all my collaborators. I cannot thank Christina, Dionelli, Zulai, Vanessa, Zoe, Abe, Albert, particularly our technical producer. We can't do none of this without Albert. Ray Velez does a lot of our graphics and design, and just all of you. There's so many. I know I'm going to miss a few names, but just all the great collaborators that join me as co-hosts and helping with the show and supporting the show. Many of you may never be on the show, but you're consistently providing commentary on Facebook, downloading the podcast, and we so truly appreciate this labor of translation and Bomba Live, some crossover episodes. And, we just wanted to share with you all, there's 3 things that we want to emphasize here as we wrap up. I have to read my notes on this because this is really important. The first one is, didn't 2020 teach us to be grateful about what we have? Man, hits me in the heart, man, when I think about it. We got to be grateful, fam. Truly, truly grateful what we have. The second thing is, I reminded y'all this in the fall, and it came fruition from a political context. We're starting to see it on the health piece with COVID, is that it's always darkest before you see the light. And so I know so many of us, too many of you, are dealing with sadness related to COVID and just the end of this year with different tragedies that happened in your lives. And I can't take that pain away from you, fam. I'm with you, with so many of you. I'm in touch with you personally. I'm with you personally because I care about all of you and your families and your loved ones. But all I can say is that it'll get better, and there'll be you'll get lessons out of these moments that'll make you stronger. And for those that left us, they left us with their strength to carry on. They wouldn't want us to wallow in it. They would want us to carry on, to build on their legacies, because they left some incredible legacies. There's no question about it. And then the last thing is that if this year didn't teach you the power of leadership with yourself, part of the issue that we've highlighted here is that part of the reason we're in this mess on many levels in this country is that it's, unfortunately, there's a whole lot of followers out there. And on some level, they teach us, a lot of people in the high-end business world and the high-end political leadership kind of like it that way. Kind of like us being followers and being satisfied being followers. But if you get nothing out of this experience, family, here listening to me and my crew, is they got to be a leader. I'm not saying you got to be in politics, but in your own life, you have to lead. You got to lead. You got to trust your gut. You got to call out BS when you see it, when you hear it, because you know when you hear it. You know that meme one, right? What some of these people are talking about on TV is nonsense. You know it. But the only question is what are you going to do about it? And how are you going to lead yourself, your family, your loved ones, your network of influence out of this darkness and into the light, and into a bigger light than you ever imagined? Big light bulbs, big, marquees. Thank you all so much for joining us. It's truly been a special journey with all of you. Have a wonderful rest of your holidays. Prospero año nuevo. I'll see you in 2021.
Hay amores que no pasan de una noche, aparecen y se pierden como gotas en el mar. Hay amores en silencio que se esconden por creer que es un pecado amar en plena libertad. Yo tengo suerte de tenerte en esta vida, de que sanes cada herida con los besos que me das. Porque